Hello students, we started with the new chapter of Indian economic development in previous video, which was Indian economy from 1950 to 1990, and we saw everything about planning. Now we will see specifically about one sector, that is agriculture sector, that what planning was done to improve the sector of agriculture. So in agriculture, we will have a deep study about its importance, features, the problems and the reforms. Reforms are the solutions which were done. Okay. So let us start with the first one. What is the importance of agriculture in our country? So some easy points are given. The first one is contribution to GDP. So from the previous time also it is seen that a large number of people are engaged in agriculture activity, and hence the most contribution to the GDP has been of agriculture. Okay. Second is source of employment. Since people of India are largely about 72% of India's population is engaged in the field of agriculture, so it is a great source of employment for our people. Supply of raw material. So agriculture field also act as a supplier of raw material. For example, if sugar industry is there, so production of sugar will require sugar cane as raw material. In the same way, for clothes, cotton is required. So these raw materials are obtained from agriculture sector. Support to international trade. Agriculture sector also provides support to our international trade, as many of the agricultural products are transported from India to other countries. Support to transport industry. Okay, agriculture industry also helps the transport industry, because we see that agricultural products are transported from village area to the city areas. So with the help of transportation, so it helps the transport industry also. These were some of the importance of agriculture sector. Now we will see the features of Indian agriculture. Okay, that after the independence, or from the time of independence only, what was the feature of our agriculture sector? The first one is low productivity. So students, our Indian agriculture, the production has always been less, or we say the productivity has always been less, because farmers have never used the modern techniques, and they were not having all the resources also, and all this, okay, led to the low productivity in the field of Indian agriculture. Second is disguised unemployment. It can be seen in agricultural field. Disguised unemployment here means that in any work, the number of people engaged are more than the required number. Okay, if there is requirement of 5 people to do any work and 10 are doing that work, so other 5 are just there for seeing only, they are not doing any contribution. That form of unemployment is disguised unemployment. Okay, and it is seen in agriculture, that all the members of family are engaged in agriculture field only, but it is not required also. Okay, that's why it is disguised unemployment. Dependence on rainfall. So it is an easy point that our agriculture has been dependent on rainfall, as earlier there was no irrigation facilities. Subsistence farming, we have already seen that it is a type of farming in which farmers grow only that much how much is required for their consumption. Okay, they do not do it for business purpose. So it is one of the features. Lack of modern inputs. Our farmers have not been using the modern techniques or the machineries. They have lacked always the modern inputs in the field of agriculture. Small holdings. This we have already seen that our farmers did not have a large amount of land. They had small holdings, small land holdings which were scattered. Okay. Landlord tenant conflict. So it is related to zamindari system, in which we have seen there had always been conflict between the landlord zamindars and the tenant, okay, the farmers who are working, because of the taxation policy. Let us now see the problems of Indian agriculture. So the problem of Indian agriculture is very much related to the features. Lack of means of irrigation. It is related to this point only, dependence on rainfall, that we had lack of means of irrigation. That's why we were dependent on rainfall only. If there will be good rainfall, then agriculture production will be nice. If no rainfall, then no production. So this was one of the problem of Indian agriculture. Finance problem. Our farmers have faced this problem because they were not having a proper system, proper banking system which could provide them loans in low interest rate, and they had to go to the mahajans of their village, okay, the ones who had money, and they provided the money to farmers in a very high interest rate, and which led to the debt trap to the farmers. So finance problem was there. Small and scattered holdings. This we have already seen. It is also the problem that farmers were having very small portion of land, and that too was scattered. Okay, it was not at one place. Lack of organized marketing system. If farmers were able to grow also, okay, then they were not having a proper marketing system where they could sell off their production. So this problem was faced by the farmers. Traditional outlook. Farmers were not having the approach of a businessman, okay. They were not doing the agriculture in point of view of commercialization, that they had to earn profit. They were having a traditional outlook. They were doing the subsistence farming, and also the techniques that they applied was a traditional technique. No modern techniques were applied. So these were the problems which were related to Indian agriculture, okay, which led to this feature of our agriculture. Now we will see, to resolve these problems, what reforms were made, okay. So the reforms in the agricultural field was of three types: institutional reforms, technical reforms, institutional, and general reforms, okay. So the first one is technical reforms. Technical here means change in technique. This technical reforms only led to the sudden increase in the production, okay, and that's why it is also known as Green Revolution. The phase where the production of agriculture suddenly increased to a great extent, this phase was known as Green Revolution. It was around the year 1965. So what technical reforms were made? First one is use of HYV seeds, high yielding variety seeds, okay. So now the variety of seeds that were earlier used, we were changing it now. We were using the high yielding variety seeds, those seeds which could yield more production in less time. Second is use of chemical fertilizers. So earlier farmers were not using the chemical fertilizers. They were just naturally dependent on the soil fertility. But as per these reforms, now farmers were provided with chemical fertilizers which could increase the fertility of the soil and hence the production. The third one is use of insecticides. The most of the crop production was eaten up by the insects present there, okay. So for this, the solution was use of insecticides and pesticides which would kill the insects present there and protect the crops. Crop rotation. This was the scientific management done to select the variety of good crops. Crop rotation method, okay, which would ultimately increase the production also and maintain the fertility of soil. Fifth one is mechanized means that the use of machines was encouraged under this method. This all led to Green Revolution or sudden increase in the production, okay. In institutional reforms, we will see abolition of intermediaries. The system of zamindari was followed from earlier times in our country. So there was an agent present, okay. Zamindar was an intermediate, so he was removed now. Now there was no one between the government and the farmers, and hence the surplus tax that were required to be paid, now farmers were saving that. Regulation of rent. The tax amount or the rent that farmers had to pay earlier, it was not fixed, okay. So they were looted very much, but now this was fixed to a certain amount, 1/3 amount, and hence now they were having very much left with them. Consolidation of holdings. As we have seen that the land holdings was small and scattered, okay. So this was now consolidated. This was joined together and farmers were provided a large land where they can produce. Land ceiling. Land ceiling was applied. It is a method, students, where a farmer or any person, the maximum land that he could hold, okay, or he could hold, that amount was fixed, that a single individual, he could only hold a limited amount of land. So that was fixed here, that is known as land ceiling. Cooperative marketing. Cooperative marketing, government told to the farmers that when they are going to purchase the seeds and the materials, so they should cooperate, they should go in groups, okay, so that they could get a great discount from the seller, which would ultimately lead to the savings of the amount. General reforms. So general reforms were that they were provided irrigation facility, okay, as they were dependent on rainfall, so now proper irrigation facility was provided. Financing. The problem of finance was there, they were not having any resource from where they could get the money. So financing system was developed. In this, rural banks were set up, okay, and NABARD was also set up, who could regulate the banks, and the farmers could get loans in minimum interest rate. Organized market. A proper organized marketing system was formed. Cooperative societies were also formed, where farmers could sell their production. Minimum support price. It is the price which is set by the government. Okay, government purchases the production from farmers at a minimum rate, and that minimum rate is known as minimum support price. So every year a minimum support price is decided by the government. In that rate, farmers sell their product to the government, and that minimum rate the farmers are getting. Okay, so these were the reforms which were made in the field of agriculture, which ultimately improved the condition of our agriculture sector. Okay, there were some failures also that we see, that the use of XII seeds. Okay, this was mainly done by the big farmers, large farmers. Okay, because the small farmers were not able to purchase this high yielding variety seeds at a high price. Okay, so this was also the problem. Use of chemical fertilizers continuously, it led to the degradation of soil. This problem was also seen. Use of insecticides also, the crops were harmed due to that, and the productivity of the land also decreased. So these were some of the problems also which were faced, which led to the failure of the technical reforms. Okay, so overall students, this was the structure of our agriculture that we have seen and how reforms were made. Thank you.